Did you know that there are 4 subconscious mind patterns that greatly limit our ability to figure things out? When we are solving complex situations, for example, building a product or figuring out a solution to a complex problem, we are dealing with great unknown. There are millions of information pieces out there that we don't know about, and we need to distinguish which are important, which are unimportant, and we need to be able to make connections between all these information pieces. And that is a lot of work. The good news is our brain is built to figure these things out. Its core function is to know, to figure things out. When there is chaos, it wants to create order. When there is understanding missing, it wants to understand. When there is information missing, it really wants to find all this information out. The problem is our brain does not like to be in the unknown. It really wants to escape it. And why is it a problem? When we find ourselves in a complex situation, our brain gets uncomfortable. It wants to know. It really needs to know. But it also knows how complicated it is to figure it all out. So it has created these 4 saboteurs that help the brain to escape from that uncomfortable unknown. First, without the understanding, into the solutions. Have you experienced a time when trying to solve a complex situation, instead of figuring out what the problem is, you jumped right into the solutions? This pattern is one of the most effective for the brain to escape the unknown. So instead of doing the hard work of figuring out all the details of the problem and make sense of it, it just skips that part, like it would already know everything about the problem. The problem is that if we go that way, there is a really great chance that without understanding, we go totally to the wrong direction. Second, falling into assumptions. If we skip the understanding part and start creating solutions, we still need some base understanding about the problem that we are finding a solution to. So for that, our brain takes these missing pieces of information from our past experiences and treats them as they would be facts, but they are actually assumptions. Depending on the context and the situation, up to 90% of our assumptions might be wrong. Now imagine if we start basing our solutions on these assumptions rather than true facts. No wonder people say the assumption is the mother of all fuck-ups. The third, falling in love with our ideas. The third tool is very effective for the brain to escape the unknown. Imagine this. You're trying to solve a complex problem and suddenly an idea comes, a solution idea. And even though it's based on assumptions probably, it is still a ticket for the brain to escape the uncomfortable unknown. So it clings on to the idea like to a rope that is hanging from the cliff. Letting go would mean we would fall back to the uncomfortable unknown, and the brain does not want to do that. But the problem is that going that way, we might miss a better idea, the best idea, if we cling on to the one idea. The fourth, fear of failure. The strongest and maybe the sneakiest of all the 4. When we are trying to figure out all these thousands of information pieces out there, all this unknown, there is no way we can figure all of it out. There is no way we can make all the connections. So to really make sense of something, we need to consciously make some assumptions and build a test around these assumptions, build a test solution, like a prototype, and go out there to see what works, what doesn't. It is a really powerful tool to bring learning into this unknown. The problem is that since kids, we have been programmed to treat imperfection as failure. We have been created in schools, music schools, sports. Everywhere we went, imperfection meant there is something wrong with us. And now, if we go out with our experiment, which is built to be imperfect, then when we get feedback, what is working and what is not, we take it personally. We let the feedback about our experiments remind us ourselves how uncomfortable is the failure and how uncomfortable it is to feel that we are imperfect. And we don't like to get hurt. We don't like to feel hurt. so we will not experiment. But that way we will leave ourselves without the greatest tool to learn. All of these patterns happen subconsciously. Often we don't even notice that we are using one of these patterns, or all of them. Reprogramming is really hard, but it's possible, and it starts from noticing. Every time we catch ourselves using one of these patterns, we can consciously choose not to use it. In real life, these occurrences are spread out over a long period of time. With the game Unknow, our aim is to speed up the process. The game is designed to trigger all these 4 patterns while you play it, so that you could practice choosing differently. Once you have practiced in a simulated experience, then you can start doing it better in real life. So my advice to you is train hard to notice and choose differently. Hard in the beginning, it will pay back later big time.